Welcome back to US News HQ, your go-to source for the unfiltered truth on global and geopolitical news and current affairs. Today, we're diving deep into the boiling tensions across America's political landscape. From explosive town hall confrontations to heartbreaking acts of violence, judicial battles over education and justice, and a high-stakes push for transparency on one of the darkest scandals in recent history. These stories aren't just headlines. They're symptoms of a nation grappling with division, accountability, and the future of democracy. Buckle up because we're unpacking it all, starting with a Republican lawmaker who couldn't keep his cool when the heat turned up from his own constituents. Let's kick things off in Pryor, Oklahoma, where Rep. Josh Brecheen, a Republican from the Sooner State, faced a town hall that quickly spiraled into chaos. Picture this: a packed room of everyday Americans, frustrated by skyrocketing costs and policy decisions that hit them right in the wallet, grilling their representative on why life feels harder under the current administration. Brecheen was there to defend President Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act, that massive domestic spending package that's slashing billions from essential programs like Medicaid and food stamps. You know, the very safety nets that millions rely on as inflation bites and grocery bills climb. But things got personal fast. A constituent stood up and challenged Brecheen on his unwavering support for Israel amid the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict. Brecheen fired back, rooted in his strongly held biblical belief, insisting that no one owns him politically. The room tensed as the questioner implied foreign influences might be swaying his votes. Brecheen's response, a heated outburst: "You're not going to do that." He doubled down, warning the crowd that the ideology behind Hamas could soon infiltrate America itself. Groans erupted from the audience, and Brecheen snapped again. "Guys, you're not going to do that. You're not going to turn this into chaos. We've been really good to each other today." What a moment. This wasn't just a meltdown. It was a window into the raw frustration bubbling up across red districts. Brecheen's constituents weren't buying the defenses. They wanted answers on lowering food costs, tackling healthcare expenses, and why budget cuts seem to prioritize everything but their daily struggles. Town halls like this are becoming battlegrounds, echoing the rowdy sessions we've seen from other GOP reps. It's a sign that even in Trump strongholds, support isn't unconditional. As we head into midterm cycles, these clashes could signal voter backlash against policies that feel out of touch. And geopolitically, Brecheen's Israel stance ties into broader U.S. foreign policy debates, where domestic anger over spending often spills into questions about endless overseas commitments. Is this the start of a broader revolt, or just isolated steam venting? We'll keep watching Oklahoma closely. Shifting gears to the state level, where education and justice hang in the balance, let's head to North Carolina, a battleground that's become ground zero for fights over public schools and fair courts. The North Carolina Democratic Party has been sounding the alarm with a powerful trifecta of issues: Leandro's promise, justice on the ballot, and America the broken. First up, Leandro's promise. This isn't some abstract policy. It's a constitutional mandate born from a landmark NC Supreme Court ruling in November 2022. The court ordered the state to fully fund public schools to provide every child with a sound basic education. Think about that. Resources for teachers, aides, preschool programs, and even basic infrastructure like heat in winter and AC in summer. But here's the rub. Republican lawmakers have stonewalled it for over a decade. A GOP-controlled court reheard the case and blocked the funding, putting politics over kids. Schools across the state, from wealthy suburbs to rural poor counties, are scraping by without essentials. Imagine a single school gaining 20 more teaching assistants, 31 support staff, and a 362% boost in early childhood programs with Leandro dollars. Instead, we're seeing understaffed classrooms and outdated materials. The NCDP is calling on folks to amplify this in September, share it on social media, join phone banks, and demand action. As one suggested post puts it, imagine bragging about family values while refusing to fully fund schools. That's the NC GOP on Leandro. This isn't just local. Underfunded education weakens America's global competitiveness, from STEM innovation to workforce readiness in a world dominated by tech and AI rivalries. Tied to that is justice on the ballot, spotlighting the 2026 judicial elections that could flip the script on North Carolina's courts. These aren't sleepy races. They're about restoring fairness after years of partisan power grabs. Courts have blocked $677 million in school funding, attacked voting rights, and let conflicts of interest slide, like Justice Phil Berger Jr. ruling on cases involving his own father. The stakes? 3 key seats up for grabs, with Democratic candidates like Justice Anita Earls, who's fought civil rights for over 30 years, Judge Toby Hampson, a Court of Appeals veteran since 2018, and Judge John Arrowwood, with deep experience in superior and appeals courts. The NCDP urges support at fairjudgesnc.com, emphasizing that fair maps, elections, and justice protect everyone's voice. Geopolitically, stable domestic institutions are crucial for U.S. leadership. When courts become politicized, it erodes trust at home and abroad, making America look weak on the world stage. And then there's America the Broken, a stark critique of Trump's second term that's hitting hard. The messaging paints a picture of a president failing to end wars abroad while rebranding the Department of Defense as the Department of War. Veterans face benefit cuts, militarized forces are deployed against domestic protests, like threats in Chicago, and there's even talk of canceling elections if conflict escalates. Freedoms are shrinking, real Americans are suffering, and the land of the free feels fractured. This ties back to our town hall story. Trump's policies are fueling the discontent. The call? Spread the word, join voter defense events on September 16th, and train for 2026 wins. In a global context, a broken America struggles to project strength, whether negotiating trade deals or countering authoritarian regimes. North Carolina's fights are microcosms of national woes, reminding us that local battles shape global power. But if these stories highlight policy divides, nothing underscores the peril of polarization like the recent tragedy that shocked the nation. Just days ago, on September 10, 2025, conservative activist Charlie Kirk was assassinated at an event at Utah Valley University. At just 31, Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA and a fiery voice for young conservatives through his Prove Me Wrong campus tours, was gunned down in a senseless act of violence. The Marblehead Republican Town Committee in Massachusetts penned a heartfelt letter mourning his loss, signed by Press Secretary Emily DeJoy, calling for unity in the face of rising aggression. The letter is raw and resolute. Profound sorrow for Kirk's wife Erica and their 2 young children, prayers for comfort rooted in shared Christian faith. Kirk's convictions were no secret. It reminds us that God's hand guides even in tragedy, urging conservatives to stand united against political violence. This senseless act reminds us of the rising aggression targeting public figures and their voices, they write, vowing a peaceful yet resolute movement. Carry Kirk's legacy, they say. Mentor the next generation with faith, civility, and passion for conservative principles. It's a beacon of compassion amid darkness, recommitting to a future of conviction and courage. This assassination isn't isolated. It's part of a disturbing trend of political violence that's testing America's resilience. Kirk wasn't just a pundit, he was a symbol of youthful energy in the conservative movement, mobilizing Gen Z against what he saw as leftist overreach. His death raises urgent questions. How do we de-escalate rhetoric that's turning debates into danger? Geopolitically, when domestic violence erupts, it distracts from international priorities, like ongoing conflicts in the Middle East or tensions with China. The GOP's call for unity is noble, but can it bridge the chasm when town halls erupt and probes uncover secrets? Speaking of secrets, our final story dives into the shadowy world of Jeffrey Epstein, where Rep. Thomas Massie is forcing the GOP's hand on transparency. Massie, the Kentucky Republican known for bucking party lines, has launched a discharge petition to compel the Trump administration to release all government files on Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell. This isn't idle curiosity. Epstein's web of elite connections, including flight logs and investigations, has long been redacted to protect victims, but Massie argues it's shielding the guilty too. The drama unfolded in a closed-door GOP meeting where Speaker Mike Johnson downplayed Massie's push, touting the Oversight Committee's work under Reps. Jamie Comer instead. Rules Committee Chair Virginia Fox made it clear, Republicans won't kill the effort in committee, but leadership is twisting arms to keep signatures low. The petition needs 218 to force a floor vote. With all 212 Democrats on board, Massie just needs 6 more Republicans. So far, he's got 4. Himself, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. GOP leaders warn it could harm victims, pointing to a recent meeting with Epstein survivors where some details were deemed too explicit for public release. Reporter Joe Wilson called Comer's probe a very positive alternative, while others like Jeff Van Drew and Tim Burchett refused to sign despite supporting disclosure. Massey isn't backing down. He held a presser with Represor Ro Khanna and accusers, accusing the DOJ of protecting Trump's friends and donors, potentially linked to crimes against minors. Those redacted flight logs from oversight? Massey says they hide reputations, not just the innocent. This saga implicates global elites. Epstein's island drew in figures from politics, business, and beyond, touching on intelligence ties and international trafficking networks. If files drop, it could expose U.S. vulnerabilities in fighting sex trafficking worldwide, where America leads, but often hypocritically. Republicans' reluctance? It smells of self-preservation in a party tied to Trump, whose own Epstein links have been scrutinized. As the petition inches toward 218, now at 217 with a new signee, this could blow open scandals that make Watergate look tame.